Welcome to Weed Wednesdays, produced by International Broadcast Media, better known as IBM.TV. I'm your host, Jeff Eichen, human rights advocate and social activist fighting for government deregulation of weed and the release of all nonviolent criminals incarcerated for possession of marijuana. Moving violations, parking tickets, IRS debt, etc. Here on Weed WEEDSDAY, we keep the public informed about all things weed related, including festivals and legislation surrounding regulating the growth of hemp. Today, my guests are
There's something happening here.
This is Tommy Chong for Lifers Madness.
There's something happening here.
Okay, kids, so if that didn't touch your heart, what could? You know, he was in jail for something he didn't do for 30 years. And what the F? That's why we're fighting and doing what we're doing. We're making Jack's dream come true. And you guys had your festival this weekend. Introduce your festival. We're going to try an experiment today. And first, I want you both to introduce yourselves and tell us why you do what you do. And I have a 26-minute remix, and it's an interview that Vivian did with the lady from Skunk Magazine. And I want to come in and out of that. So this is the first time I'm ever doing this. So we can just play a little bit of the video, then I'll stop and come back to us, and let's see if we can flow and if it'll work. And I think that we'll get through it. Vivian, introduce yourself and tell us about your successful weekend you had last week with HempFest Virtual 2020.
Thanks, Jeff. I just want to start off by making a comment about your introduction. I just want to add to that introduction that Amy is as much, if not more, of a producer of the event as I was. She was more than pivotal in making this entire thing happen. It's my 29th year with Seattle Hemp Fest. I'm the executive director of Seattle Hemp Fest this year. And it's been a long and amazing journey to justice, working with this amazing group of people we have, this core group of hemp festers on our board of directors, and which Amy and I are both on. And then the 700 volunteers every year that fill our staff shirts. And of course, the 100,000 people that would come down to the event on a normal year. We are a small federal nonprofit, 501c4 nonprofit organization. And we were hit by the pandemic, like everybody else doing a public event across the world, and it hit us kind of like a freight train. And so we've been kind of hustling to try to survive this year and to deal with it, figure out a way to satisfy our financial obligations, which are huge in the wake of having our event shut down halfway through our production year.
Where can our viewers support you?
Well, there's a couple ways they can do that, and we'll get to that. I just wanted to say that we needed to do something, and we need to keep the message going, because the mission is the message, right?
Yeah.
And so we decided that the way to do that was through a live stream event where we could bring our message to anybody in the world. And we had never really done anything like that. It was a real discovery process for us. We had to build a new phone-friendly website designed for live events, live stream events, and worked with people all over the world. Actually, we had music from 4 countries total, and guests from other in other continents taking part in it and stuff, and it was pretty exciting. As far as people making a contribution, there is a GoFundMe that we can share with you, and they can also join our Patreon, or they can go to our website, hempfest.org, and I think they can even go to hempfestonline.org right now and make a contribution. Those are our 2 websites that we're working with.
Fantastic. Well, we'd like to thank IBM.TV for getting us to Portugal and to Uruguay today. And so everybody out there, just remember, we're doing our work here. And thanks to Vivian and Amy, the co-producer of this year's 2020 virtual Hemp Fest. I've been to many of them, and I love it. I'm a Washingtonian. I'm blessed that you're doing what you're doing. I got to meet Tommy Chong, you know, at your festival, and so it's just really beautiful that we're being part of the medicine and carrying on with what we do. Amy, give us a little bit about your experience and how tired you are.
Oh my gosh. I was joking with some of my friends the last 2 days. I was like, I turned narcoleptic overnight. I don't know what happened. But I mean, it's just one of those things. We got to do what we got to do. And I remember the moment where we were all just kind of like looking at the news and being like, oh no. Like one of our last board meetings of being like, we can't wait, like we can't. What's the backup plan? Let's figure it out. And like God, like there is a cast of characters we could not have done it without behind Vivian and I. And I just, especially like I was talking to Viv about it yesterday because the studio we used was just beautiful. And it turns out it was a band from Hempfest 3 years ago that called him up and was like, hey, I work at a studio now. You want to come check it out? And like, it just kind of speaks to how it's the community at large doing this because it's part of something bigger. And I think it was a really fun and exciting, and I got a lot of energy, and I'm just so enthusiastic about moving more towards the global event because looking at what he's doing right now and all of that, that's the direction I feel like it's going, and it's time to kind of take it by the reins.
Well, if I can get some real footage from you all, I can assist in doing some small episodes, you know, for you all. If we can, you know, raise some energy to help me to do that, or you can do it yourself and share them with us. And I'd love to put a 5-minute, you know, spot. You had so many hours of content there that I only got to one video, I got enthralled by the interview you did with the Skunk Magazine lady, and I've met her several times. She's brilliant, and so many of them were important that today I did a little episode. But if I get the real footage, which I know you have somewhere there, or you can do it yourself, I'll keep posting it every show. I'll put a 2 or 3 minute spot from the tens of hours you have. What was it? 2 days of 10 hours?
It was 32 hours of constant programming, 16 hours on 2 channels.
Yeah.
Woo!
That was a huge props to the whole Hemposium team and all of the panelists and everything, because it was such a great experience being able to have it right there where it's like, oh, I want entertainment. Click. Oh, I found out there's this panel going on I want to go check out. Click. And like, I think that was the coolest part about Hempfest is you don't have to walk like what feels like a mile through all of these sweaty people in the hot sun. Just like it was.
I got to get to main stage. I got to get to Hemposium, and you're walking.
It's also like the regular Hempfest where there's no way to watch everything at the same time. You can't catch it all.
Yeah, we do.
Hempfest is.
Yeah, which stage do you want to be on? You know, exactly. And I was going back and forth as a content, you know, collector, And I enjoyed it. You know, I went away for an hour, went outside to trim my plants or to do whatever because it's harvest here in Washington. And I came back and Bitsy Bates was on doing some hemp cooking. You know, it was
Yeah,
great.
we're working on figuring it all out and getting it out so everybody can get back to it and rewatch what they want to rewatch. And then putting a lot more on Patreon as some continuing content and some really cool opportunities for people that want to be part of the community and get a membership through us.
Well, if you don't have or if you have both of you any more to talk about this, I might as well begin our the edit that I did. I did a 24-minute edit, and I'll stop it periodically and come back and we'll talk about it. Let's see how my live stream works if we're going to be able to pull this off. Do you have anything more to share? Thank yous to anybody else or?
Yeah, we want to give a call out to the guys at MOB Studios in South Seattle because that was the factor, that was the critical factor that made our live stream run, from what I've heard, as seamlessly as most, or better than many first time live streams. There was really almost no dead air, and the guys at Mob Studios are just really top notch. It was a wonderful facility to work in. We had live acts come in and play in the studio right there on the hour, as well as live stream acts coming in from other regions, other countries. We had a band from Japan, a band from Ukraine, a band from Chile, and then music acts from all over the country. And there were so many moving parts, and those guys they did a great job. And of course, Kotska Ench for the amazing poster art that she created, and Stu Smith, who we worked with in the construction of the website. And then of course,
Kotska's art, is that the picture I have on above my head there?
yes, that's a version of her artwork. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. She used to live here in Port Townsend. They used
We
to
have
live
to
here.
call out a bunch of our own people, which is, and I'm gonna miss somebody, but Yvonne and Amy will help me out.
I'll try.
Yvonne and Sue and Jerry Whiting and Robert Mitchell and
Oh my gosh, Robert Mitchell. All hail Robert Mitchell. He is fantastic. And at the drop of the hat, he made sure that we would still have Hymposium stage for everybody.
and Jordan and Carl and Jill.
Winfield Ezel from Obsidian Studios came in at the 11th hour and also edited a bunch of content for us so that we could get it up.
And our safety patrol people that came and held down the fort at Mob Studios. Help me out, Amy.
Special K came through. Special K was a sponsor. We had more sponsors like Weed Maps, Futurola, House Cannabis, Washington Bud Co., and it's good because they're people that want to be part of building something better, and they're not just in it for the money, which is the best part of sponsorship.
Yeah,
and you had your VJ, you had your VJs also. You had Grandma Cat, and all the VJs.
And Tony B. We had
Tony B, yes.
Lovely Tony B. I want to mention our media sponsors: Weed World and Skunk Magazine, and Hanf Magazine from Austria and Germany, and Marijuana Venture Magazine, and Northwest Leaf Magazine, and CelebStoner.com and SonicBids.com. All helped us get the word out and promote the thing. And it's hard, Jeff, competing with the news cycle today. And competing with Zoom burnout that's going around and stuff. But we are, really glad to be on the other side of what we consider a pretty successful maiden voyage, and we are planning to do more educational, entertainment, and advocacy events.
What I got out of it for myself was that whenever I pulled into Hymposium, it was very educational. And I even learned some stuff. I mean, I'm not the meister of everything, but whether it's anything, that we learned about hempcrete, we learned about hemp oil, and all of these things. and I would go away and come back, and I'd go from stage to stage, and I think it flowed very nicely. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was definitely a labor of love for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, let me see what I did, and if we can get a good stream here. We'll take a break here, you all, and thank you so much for pulling this off. I do it every week. I know it's a monster to pull it off, but even with your little motor scooters going in and up the stairs, and your little commercials, fantastic. So good job, and I'm gonna roll us back over to my QuickTime here, and just play a little bit. Then I'll come back. Um, Thank you there, and here we go.
There's something happening here. Truth is loud. Do you hear me? The truth is loud. Homeless everywhere. Take time to share. Immigration laws we pass. Government's always trying to accommodate our children in the streets. Come up, listen, every week. The truth is loud. Do you hear me? Talks about how in this industry, we're just trying to get over young. We're blessed to be able to sing for people like you who actually come and support live music. And it's a wonderful thing. But this business is not always friendly. It's not always your friend. You meet some people along the way. But we all just trying to get over it. So, I used to have this notebook to write down all my thoughts, poetry, short stories, and all of that. Years ago, I lost it, but the documentation I did during it, I would never save and reread the things that I wrote. I just go to the next page because creating is about creating for yourself and not for others. Thank you for listening. My name is Gary. It's midnight.
Why so weak? Because even if you put a young king in a new cage or a handsome corpse in a new grave, concrete slab, fresh inscriptions engraved, in arrest rates increased, brand new marijuana task force. Beware of the beast. Damn, giving black people licenses in this industry. Cannabis Control Commission already threatened to send law enforcement after me and my family. The United States opportunity in their industry. I just want to know, where are the supposed allies who want to get on the right side of history? But you don't stand up and fight. Fight for the 40-plus year legacy. Fight so that we don't have to pass down this same cold cup of tea. I have let children grow up wondering why we aren't represented in this legal cannabis industry. 2, 3, 4. I'm damn good at getting tossed around. I'm damn good at letting go down. I'm damn good at some dead words unsaid. I'm pretty damn good at forgetting what's that. I'm pretty damn good at forgetting all the words. I'm damn good at unplug my lips, getting unjusted. You can say my your creation because I'm pretty damn good. That means you're a witness, and I shall
It's so important that you eat proper, sleep proper, and drink proper. And number one out of those three is number four, smoke.
Happy 420 at Seattle Hempfest! That again was full Moon Alice, and we are so excited to have had them be able to perform with us today. I wanted to take one more minute to again thank our wonderful list of sponsors, and let's see if I can name them all without looking. We've got Weed Maps, our presenting sponsor. We've got Special K. We've got House of Cannabis, Futurola, Hump Magazine, Skunk Magazine, UK Weed World, Sonic Bids, Celeb Stoner, and if I missed any of them, you can see them down below in our sponsor tab. After this, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna pass off the Crow's Nest at Mob to Vivian McPeak, who made it here, and he's gonna interview Julie Chiarello from Skunk right after this. Thanks, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. Enjoy 420.
If you know me, you will. Hi everyone, Wolf here again, coming at you from Seattle Hempfest 2020. Now we're all staying home this year for obvious reasons, so stay safe, stay healthy, and be kind to each other online. You don't have to understand the concept of time to enjoy 420. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Am I right or am I right? Happy 420.
So, you guys, is that bringing back some memories? Am I right
Yeah,
or
Jeff,
am I right? Am I right or am I right?
The interesting thing is that that was the first time that Amy and I saw some of that content because we were doing the main stage channel the whole time. And so the first part of what you were showing was stuff from that chunk of time that Tony B took on the Hymposium stage. And during the event, I would occasionally I would like glance at the Hymposium stage to see what was going on. But I hadn't seen any of that. Later on, you showed the band Full Moon Alice, and we were surprised that Lester Chambers, the reason it wasn't just Moon Alice, they call it Full Moon Alice when they have other members from other bands participating. That was Lester Chambers from the Chambers Brothers with them. And then the last thing you showed was Jason Gann from the TV series Wilfred, who's Australian, and the TV series is Australian, but he was actually in Spain when he was talking to us. So it was pretty cool for us. It was a global live stream event in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he zoomed in on Sunday to do an interview with Vivian from Spain, which was he's such a cool guy. Like, I never thought someone mentioned that they could get us Wilfred and see if he'd be wanting to get involved. And I was like, oh, like watch the show again. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I was kind of like, I don't know. But he's such a down to earth guy. Jason Gann he's fantastic and just such an advocate and an ally.
And he was a dog.
He was once a dog.
Yeah. What's up, dog?
What's up, dog?
That's funny. As you know, when you're interviewing people, every once in a while this happens. And I said, I introduced him, welcome, Jason, to our live stream event. And he started off, and it was about, I want to say 12 minutes before I got a chance to say one question, because he was so talkative, man. And he just went on and shared a bunch of great stuff. And the coolest thing about HempFest for me, and I think Amy probably say the same, I'm assuming, and that is just getting to meet and work with so many cool people from such a diverse background and diverse regions. and stuff every year, to be able to interact with all these quality people in the movement and in the entertainment industry and everything, and even the media sponsors and everything. It's just all great people from our community.
Yeah. Throughout the weekend, me and one of the guys from Mob actually, like every once in a while we'd be standing there, we'd finally like something would be playing that we didn't have to worry about. We'd like step out and just be like thinking like, wait, what if we did this next? Like, what if we did that next? And it was just all weekend. It was, and I was surprised, but it was still just like every weekend. It's this whole, it's more than a festival. It's a giant thought think tank.
Well, it's a reunion also.
Yeah. And so it was cool to still experience that because I missed it for a while when we were doing some of the production.
And the other thing I want to say about that is, after 6 months of being right where you see me, 6 months of spending almost all my time right here in this chair in the basement of my home, isolated from everybody, in the pandemic, doing this social distancing, to all of a sudden be somewhere and be producing an event, and to be working with bands and speakers and engineers and techs and my brothers and sisters from HempFest, and seeing them physically, even though we were socially distancing, and we made sure that we were driving the mask thing, because we were inside of a facility. We made sure everybody put their mask on when they weren't performing or whatever. But just being a part of something that was happening, of an event, was like, wow, yes, I'm alive. I'm not in my basement.
Right. Well, we've been 7 months in COVID, and it's hard to date in COVID. When you can't, it's just an amazing time, and I think that exactly what you're saying brought my heart open, because we miss going to HempFest and packing our car and putting our booth up and walking the thing and hugging people that we haven't seen for a while, and sitting down and watching a Hemposium interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to give a call out to, I just want to say, I want to give a quick call out to Weed Maps and Special K Glass and Futurola, and who else? Amy, help me out. Who sponsored the event?
Weed Maps, Special K, Futurola, House of Cannabis, based out of Tacoma, Washington
Bud Company.
Washington Bud Company. The Academy of Cannabis Science gave us 2 scholarships to give away, and it was
Skunk.
Cannabis Alliance did a lot of free advertising for us and helped us out. Obviously, Skunk Magazine, they're the ones that hooked us up. Julie did the interview with Tommy and Cheech that they aired on Saturday night on main stage, and then 7:30 on Hemposium, if I remember correctly. But yeah, without them, there's no way it would have happened. And Mob Studios.
And Jeremy Jewell, I know to call it Jeremy Jewell, for all the great last minute ads, social media graphics and stuff that he made. And we're like, Jeremy, help, I need this right now, like yesterday. So it's, it takes a community to raise a village, and it takes a community to raise a HempFest as well. And we're just blessed to have this wonderful tribe.
Well, Vivian, one of my memories of HempFest are the golf carts. And every time I see a golf cart go by, I want to give a shout out to our lovely Sharon Whitson. So why don't you do that?
We stand on the shoulders of giants. Absolutely. Yeah. Sharon got married this year, and started a new life. And we can't think of a better reason to move on from HempFest than a new family and a great new life. She put so many years in, at the front lines, at the tip of the spear. And Sharon has left a great legacy, and is still, of course, a beloved member of our tribe.
She was always with a smile. I never saw her lose it. I loved having her drive by me in the freaking cart, or I'd jump on the cart with them. I claimed I was old. I said I'm 60.
I have to be honest, bro. I've seen all of us at HempFest lose it at some point.
Right. Well, and so I in our alternate timeline, as I'll choose to say it, I'm actually the safety team and safety director. So makes me smile when people are like, "Oh, I've never seen so and so lose it. I've never seen so and so lose it." Because when people are losing it, I'm usually the one they call, like, "Hey, could you come talk down so and so?"
Well,
Yep,
let's
yep. No, Sharon was a 5-star general in our peace army, man. Let me tell you, and now Amy's a 5-star general. So it's funny how life moves, man.
Well, it's like football. It's the lateral move, you know. And maybe we'll call you Wilson, man. You're our quarterback, man. And you know, and Amy, you're picking up the ball and carrying it in the touchdown. You know.
I think it was really, you know, you're right. It's really interesting the way it worked out, just because of the timeline of how it went, and like sitting back, I kind of have to laugh, but at the same time, in the moment, I was like, "Oh my god, my heart's gonna explode," because it was like pretty much board elections. Sharon left, I got hired, COVID struck, we moved online, and it was just this whole thing of like, "Oh, what's next?"
Well, now
Yeah,
they
Jeff, we have had the hardest year, man. I mean, it has been putting out one fire and for another, put out a house fire, and then you got a forest fire, uh, over and over all year long. We don't even, know what the future holds. We're hanging in here by a tendril, like
how
so many
about
other large.
how about giving a shout out to those that we lost this year?
Oh my, Patrick was the most recent, I believe, unless I missed.
Yes, Patrick McKay and Patrick McKay and um,
Margaret.
Margaret Denny
Yeah,
both
Margaret.
passed away this year
And just,
from our. And we think that Margaret was an early uh, COVID loss, actually.
yeah.
Um, and we lost 5 people last year. We have a huge organization that's been around for almost 30 years, and we're aging, and we all have to find a way off this planet. And one thing that HempFest has always done aggressively is honored our fallen soldiers. All of our stages at the physical HempFest are named for somebody, and we're running out of stuff to name after people, frankly. Um, but it's a family, it's a freedom family, we like to say.
Well, for all those on the other side, help us end prohibition and to keep the party rolling because my sister, my family is in television and they're award winners, and so I grew up on the stage periodically with Woody Harrelson, actually, another Hempster, and what they used to say and what I go by when somebody cries on my show because they're 13 years old when their dad went in and they're 26 now and their dad just got out and they're both on my show and they're both crying because they're happy, that somebody got out of jail. My dad, right? I didn't have him for 13 years when I was growing up. Um, my sister used to tell me that's good television. And so I think you guys pulled off some good television. I loved the people behind the scenes when they did the little spots in there, the Futurola shaking the weed and making the things. Let's watch a little bit more, a few more minutes of what I did for you, and get inspired so we can start to cut some more of these things and make them available. So, anything more to thank? Anybody else to thank before we go back to our show?
I want to thank our attorney, Douglas Hyatt, for really going to the mat for us. He has been working tirelessly for HempFest. He's been with us for over 25 years. And he is a righteous brother in this struggle to legalize cannabis as well. I mean, I don't know anybody more committed, so I did want to call him out. He's a criminal defense attorney here in Seattle, Washington, who's been really at the helm for us, and also Fred Diamondstone, our constitutional attorney. We just won a lawsuit against the city, defending ourselves against their attacks on our membership program. And then now we have a lawsuit against the state of Washington to defend the constitutionality of the anti-advertising rules here for cannabis businesses. So we'd be remiss to not mention our legal team. And so that's the one thing I can think to add.
If we didn't thank Eric already, I want to thank Eric. And if we did,
Eric,
I'm going to thank him again and again.
I forgot Eric.
He did a lot of the sponsorship work. Just because a lot of us were kind of scrambling with the like, where are we going to put it? What's it going to look like? Trying to learn video editing software in the middle of the night. Like,
It's amazing.
Eric is a god. He came in and just like plugged in and kicked ass like he had always been there, and just like talk about a dude that has just got ideas flowing out of his head. He reminds me of how I used to be before I was old.
that like even on a bad day, I was able to call him and be like, Eric, I'm losing steam and it doesn't look, and like I am just in the deep dark hole of like maybe it's not gonna work, because we didn't know it was gonna work for sure until like 12:15 on Saturday, to be clear. Like so we're like, oh my gosh, yeah, he was a godsend.
I mean, people were up at 3 a.m. coding on the website the morning of the event. You know, I mean, this was a hustle, man. This was a hustle to get this all done, and it's so hard because everybody's distanced. You know, we never were able to get together and work on it together, and that's just, as everybody knows these days, frankly, that's challenging.
And we don't have walkie-talkies, right?
Not the same, you know, and having all of your meetings on Zoom and stuff, it's just, it's different.
Well, that's the word. That's the word, different.
And I think we have to acknowledge the psychological impacts of our political environment, of this pandemic, the economic impacts that we're all dealing with. I mean, we are all stressed, and this is traumatic if you're paying attention, frankly, what's been going on our planet and stuff. And there's a lot of good things going on with, you know, Black Lives Matter and the social awareness and stuff. That it's also a very disturbing time.
And you heard about Governor Whitmer? You heard about,
I mean, all of it.
Yeah.
It's over the top. It's over the top, and we need some positive change. And so it's therapeutic to be able to actually be back in the saddle and doing the work and getting the message out, because that's always what HempFest is about.
Right, and ride that momentum.
I just want to say that, Amy, you are amazing, and I'm blown away, and I'm thankful to work with you. You are just a superstar. And she stepped in, man. All of a sudden, I was sick, I was late, and she stepped in like she's been the MC for the history of the event, and just nailed it.
You want to tell them that story about how I got a text on my phone on my way down to the venue that said, "Hey, I'm not going to be there to kick it off. Someone might be. If they're not, you want to do it?"
There is some secret to my madness, you know. You know, Amy, it was like, you know, a superstar, and it's such a blessing. I don't know how it works. The spirit always seems to plug the right person in at the right time when you're completely freaking out. But this time the universe did such a good job, because it's such an honor to work with Amy.
Thank you, sir. And well, and that's the thing, is like, it's not me. I just like to bring people that are passionate about what they want to do. You know, like if it was just me or just Vivian or just Yvonne or just Eric, it wouldn't be anything near what it is. Wouldn't be anywhere close. But we've got this beautiful family that's full of all of these amazing thought processes that come from all of these different backgrounds with all this different knowledge and all these different abilities. And that's the only way we can do it. And I mean, even moving forward, that's the thing, is like, we can take volunteers from everywhere. Are you good at social media? Like, you know what I mean? So the next step in this evolution, and part of it, I think, is that the millennials are kind of getting on board and going, wait a second, let's do it. Like, all right.
Well, we open the door for them, and we make the template, and then, you know, like when I was looking at my heroes as a photographer, I got to meet Brett Weston. That was Edward Weston's son. And Edward Weston was one of the classic photographers of the world. But Brett, when I met Brett, he was whatever, 50, 60, whatever. And I was young, 17, 20. And I saw Brett take where his father left off, because his father was brilliant. And then the children just keep expanding. Yeah,
and that's, I mean, looking at it, that's what we can do, is like, how can we turn this festival do an all the time festival for everybody. And then just have like our big family reunion once we're allowed to again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But we turn it over to the children. We start getting our school. We start bringing in some great 20-year-olds, and 18-year-olds and 30-year-olds. Yeah. And bring them. Yeah. Get them going. Yeah. Good going, Amy. I'm really proud of you. Well, let's watch a little bit more and then we'll get back to it here. Let me pull up a little bit more and you guys figure out who else you want to give props to. And here we go. Here's a little bit more. Here we go. everybody. We're the inch, baby. Am I right or am I right? Am I right or am I right?
I want to say, Jeff, that is even interesting for me because when I was interviewing Julie, I was listening to her, but at the same time, I'm thinking, what am I going to ask next? I'm getting messages about how much time there is left, and so this is actually the first time I heard some of what she said too.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I was downstairs figuring out just how much time Viv had left.
Right? Exactly. So
Well,
us, this is exciting for us to see some of our live stream too.
I know. I feel like me and Viv need to have a watch party where the two of us just sit
Yeah.
and kick
a
back.
couple days ago, Vivian, you said I would love to revisit my show, and I knew this moment would happen because Kristen Floor interviewed me the other day. She was in her car and she stopped and pulled over, and she says, "Jeff, what got you interested in doing all this stuff?" And I'd never been interviewed before, and then I rewatched it, and I'm having the same aha moment as you
Yeah,
guys.
right. Discovery.
I did that after the Norm Stamper interview I did too. It's just
Yeah.
it's interesting watching it after the fact and be like, hey, in my head I thought that was a lot worse than it was.
Oh yeah, it's funny because as you know, there's so much going through your head at the time. Your brain is able to think about five things simultaneously somehow. I don't know how it works, so it's always so interesting to go back and watch from the viewer's perspective and go, "Oh wow, I thought I stumbled on that, but it's like it was a millisecond or something, right?" And at the time,
Remember when my sister said that was good TV?
Yeah, and a ton
yeah,
of people have been getting a hold of us and just being like, this is fantastic. And we're like, oh, okay, I'm so glad you think so.
But I mean, that's where we really learn over the next couple months. Rewatch some more of it. Like I said, get somebody to do what I just did. I mean, you saw I did overlays and this and that, and I spent about 2 hours on that baby. But I enjoyed it
we're,
because
we're actually we're doing that, Jeff, and we are going to be uploading all of that 32 hours of content onto Patreon
And then
in edited chunks, right? So that we can share all that with our Patreon members. Because as you know, you got to pay the rent and you got to put food on the table. And HempFest is over $100,000 in debt from the pandemic, and we are struggling to survive.
is Patreon where people can join you by the month, like $10 a month, or that's fantastic. Yeah, everybody, this is Jeff Eichen at Weed Weedsday and IBM.TV, and I want you to get on the Patreon for HempFest and join up so we can have more and we can support next year's, and then the people that supported, the festival, the people behind the scenes that do the sound and the editing, maybe they can get paid too, because this pandemic has taken a lot of pay away from everybody. So I'm proud of you all. And Amy, it's great to meet you. Vivian, it's great to always have space with you. And we'll find a place for me next year on a special moment, and or we'll do something for Christmas. I mean, it'd be great to have a New Year's party, a HempFest New Year's party, and now that you know how to do it, just do some smaller ones, an hour or two, and it'd be really fun to. And then you can push your Patreon, and then when you come on in a consistent way, 3 or 4 times a year, we'll look forward to that next HempFest show. And as you saw, it flowed very magically, and it was beautiful.
I'm actually on my way down to Mob to pick up some stuff that people left there. And there's been a lot of brainstorming in the background about what's next, and I think it is going to be sooner rather than later is all I will leave you with.
I would love a Thanksgiving with Bitsy Bates. Have her do a 420 turkey stuffing, and and just keep going.
Sky's the limit. If we can ask it, people can tell us yes or no. So we want to hear what people think too, what they love from the weekend.
Well, it could be HempFest TV also, because then you get to come on whenever you want, and we know that you have a show once a month.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not overwhelming, because like I do once a week, and I only do an hour, but it's improvisational. When our hearts open up, and you have somebody like the Skunk Magazine lady and Vivian, who is grounded and articulate, It's beautiful and it's information.
Yeah. And I think just being able to have younger people see that there's more people like them in the world. Because a lot of, especially raised in families that are in different areas that aren't necessarily Seattle, that may be experiencing less than positive role models, but still have access to the phone and the internet.
Marijuana is the gateway drugs to the munchies, for sure. You
And
know?
it's important in this time of COVID to preach responsible use and tell people don't be sharing, be social distancing, don't be sharing weed from mouth to mouth if you're not living in the same household,
Well, all
because
the
that's
glass
really the
blowers
danger.
can be making one hitters, and then you buy a six pack, and when your friends come over, each one gets a one hitter, and that's theirs.
And
It's
there's other
there.
things you can do. You could take a piece of tissue paper or something, and put it over, and there's or do the chillum thing. But the
One
thing is,
hitters, no one hitters. Forget
I
it.
know,
Do the one hitters, and that'll open up a new industry of beautiful one hitters. And you get a six pack of one hitters, and you lay it out for your friends.
the
I
one hitter is the
everybody.
fun hitter.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm a fan of the everybody gets their own joint model, where you just show up and you just start handing them out. Here you go. Everybody gets a
Get
joint.
the weed, man. Why not, right?
That's that's Futurola. Everyone needs a Futurola shaker in their house.
Jeff, thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it, man. And I always support what you're doing and stuff. And I love all the amazing, colorful, cultural photos in your Facebook. I was looking through that the other day, and man, it's really, really a feast for the eyeballs, my friend.
Well, one day when we get back to Vietnam, we'll hand carry some Larry Serban fabric over for you and build you a suit. Look at the suit behind me. There it is. That's all hemp.
That's cool. Sorry,
That's my
Excellent.
that's my
You're
hemp
him
suit.
presenting.
gorgeous.
That's my hemp suit. But wait a minute. Number two came out. That's also a hemp suit there. Let's do it this way. So everybody, paper, fiber, fuel, medicine, and food, like Jack said, Jack Harrer, and let's make clothing again.
Leave it to you, Jeff, to raise the temperature in here, and it's not temporary. You have really got things happening, and I'm empathetic to everything that you're doing, bro. So you're making hempstery,
Education, it's education.
right? Yeah.
Any
I'm
final words?
empathetic.
Any final words, Vivian?
I just want to thank our crew for all the great work that they put into this, and our media sponsors, all the entertainers that played for free from all over the country and the world, our speakers, our panelists, our guest MCs, Tony B and Lovely, all the people that came together, the community that came together to make this live stream happen. We're told that not a lot of people, but somebody in over 30 countries was watching the event at some point. And so that really, validates our concept for a global HempFest live stream.
And don't forget, Vivian, we'll get you one of these.
All right, man.
Yeah. So, and Amy, any final words? This is the Last Supper here.
Well, I'm looking at what you're holding. My brain went blank.
It's a photograph that I made.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's the last sesh.
The last sesh. I'm excited to be I'm excited that we figured out ways to get more education into more people's hands more often. I think is what I'm leaving the week with.
My logo now says film is food. And
Yeah.
so we need to be eating the right diet. Just like the guy from Moon Alice said,
Yeah.
eat food and smoke.
Yeah. Well, and just it's our responsibility moving forward to give people something that is not doom and gloom that they can do to change the world in a positive way. Because with the way that the election's going and the way that the government's going, I like to try and say that I'm almost unpartisan because I think they're both doing some really negative things right now. And it's time to move past that and come back to what our goals as a country are, as far as like, let's just start with getting people out of jail. We can all agree. Let's all agree on that and go from there.
Well, Kamala said during the debates. Kamala said during the debates that her and Biden would, guess what, end prohibition.
Which
Yep.
is
And
exciting.
I just want to say, vote for change.
Yes,
There
exactly.
you go. Yeah. Get the vote out.
Change.
And all you young kids, jump on the HempFest wagon, and there'll be a job for you. We don't guarantee pay right now, but we guarantee the pay is just like my T-shirt that I made. I have a T-shirt here. I dropped it down on the floor here. Let's get it. Here it is. Here's my T-shirt. Here it says, "Pray it forward." So come on into HempFest, everybody, and let's pray it forward. Love you guys. Thank you so much, Hemp and Parade. And again, where can they find you, Vivian? Where can they find
Hempfest.org and hempfestonline.org, or our Facebook, our Twitter, all of that stuff, all the above.
And when will there be some rewinds, some archives for people to see? How soon will we be able to get those out?
I'm hopeful that at the latest we could at least get some raw stuff up by the end of the week. At the very latest.
Oh, that's amazing.
Couch because I've been sleeping the last 2 days.
Patreon. Hempfest Patreon.
Yeah, they're gonna be hiding in Patreon, I think. We'll put a couple clips up on the main Facebook too.
Okay, and you're welcome to share the show that we just had with your group. I have it recorded, and it's on our StreamYard. And thank you, IBM.TV. Nugent, roll us out, and thank you so much, beautiful people. Hemp Hooray, as Jack would say. And I can't wait to our next engagement. And freaking amazing show. You guys did great.
Thank you, Jeff. Love you, man.
Okay.
Take
All right,
care.
Nugent. Welcome to Weed Wednesdays, produced by International Broadcast Media, better known as IBM.TV. I'm your host, Jeff Eichen, human rights advocate and social activist fighting for government deregulation of weed and the release of all nonviolent criminals incarcerated for possession of marijuana, moving violations, parking tickets, IRS debt, etc. Here on Weed Weedsday, we keep the public informed about all things weed related, including festivals and legislation surrounding regulating the growth of hemp. Today, my guests are
There's something happening here. This is Tommy Chong for Lifers Madness.